What's going on, everyone? I'm Paul from Boulder High Podcast, and in this week's episode, I interview University of Denver midfielder Jack Hanna. From the end of his high school career to where he is now, Jack was able to climb the ladder from being an under-recruited player to now being one of the top midfielders in the country. Jack was a first-team All-American in 2020 and hopes to continue that fire he ignited this past season into 2021 with a Denver team that can be a very serious contender on Memorial Day weekend. Jack and I talked about some of his favorite times playing lacrosse, what it was like when he first stepped on campus at Denver, and a whole lot more. Make sure to go give Jack a follow on Instagram at JackHanna13. I had a great time recording with Jack. He's a super nice guy, and from what he told me, he sounds like he's a pretty good Warzone player too. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and let's get right into it. Jack Hanna, the Denver Pio and first-team All-American. Jack, how we doing, man?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me on, man.
My pleasure. Where are you right now? Are you home?
Yes, I'm home in Cincinnati, Ohio. Well, Milford, Ohio, really, but right next to Cincinnati, Ohio. Small town, but yeah.
When did you get back home from college?
For Thanksgiving, I was able to make it home. Get Thanksgiving with my family. Small group kind of gathering there, just my household and family.
That's good. Are you a big Thanksgiving meal type of guy?
Yes, I definitely put myself in a turkey coma. I'm big on eating food. I like to do that a lot, and 100%. My mom made a killer turkey this year, so me and I had three brothers, so me and my three brothers scarfed it down.
That's good. How many pounds was it? Was it a nice 15 or 16 pound turkey?
Yeah, I think it was like 17.
Jeez.
Yeah, so a little smaller than normal. Yeah, smaller than normal.
Those Hanna boys are eating well. What about sides? You a big stuffing, mashed potatoes guy?
I'm huge. I'm on mashed potatoes over stuffing. I used to not like stuffing at all, and I've actually recently started to get onto the stuffing. I kind of do like stuffing now. My mom makes a little bit different stuffing than my grandma does. So like when my mom makes it, I like it a little bit, but I don't know. I'm not huge on stuffing, but I'm big on mashed potatoes with my turkey. Obviously gravy.
Have you? Do you guys have anything else? Do you guys do like mac and cheese or cornbread for Thanksgiving?
No, we just keep it simple. Meat, mashed potatoes, stuffing, maybe a little bit of vegetables somewhere, but for the most part,
collard greens, stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's good. I tried making mac and cheese from scratch for my family for Thanksgiving. Turns out it's a lot harder than making it from a box. Everyone said it was good, but they were just trying to be nice to me. It was super crusty, and it really wasn't good. There was no flavor. It was just like eating dried pasta with cheese on it. Not.
So you gotta bust out the Velveeta then, man. That's the good stuff. It's all good.
Velveeta. No, I was trying to make it original.
That's the good play though, man. But also once you get it down, you're gonna have some sweet mac and cheese. You're gonna mess it up a couple times.
100%. I mean, it's an art.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Food is an art, probably because your mom's probably made turkey 100 times, so that's why she's probably got it down. Why she's got a good turkey. It's all about. It's like practice in lacrosse. So
yeah.
100%. So you've been keeping up with any new TV shows? Maybe watch any new movies since COVID hit?
I recently watched season 7 of Blacklist on Netflix. I watched. It's like a crime show. It's about it's like 7 seasons, pretty long episodes and stuff. But I've been into it for a while. It's like FBI, CIA kind of stuff, kind of like underworld, dark world criminals that they go and catch and stuff. It's kind of a cool plot line. I like it a lot. I won't throw out any spoilers, but I like it a lot. It's a really good show. Other than that, still just binge The Office all the time, but I think everyone does that.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that too. I got into I started watching a lot of HBO TV, so all their TV shows. So I first started off with Entourage. Great show. I highly recommend that. It's about 4 guys from.
I've seen Entourage. Yeah. I don't have HBO here at my house, but some of my buddies out in Denver have it, so I've seen it. I've seen most of it for sure. It's a hilarious show.
Very good show. And then after I finished Entourage, I hit The Sopranos. That was a great show. I really liked that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then right now I'm in the middle of Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David. So HBO's got some pretty good TV, so I'm very, very excited. I gotta go. After I finish that, I might do Game of Thrones. I don't know. I tried watching a couple episodes in the beginning of quarantine. Couldn't really get into it. So maybe if I watch.
Really? See, I've done similar actions. I got I took a little heat around my house because my whole family were watching it together. And we were watching Game of Thrones like as a unit, and we started from season 1. My older brother had already seen it with his college roommates. So we were all watching it together, and it was like this big thing. And we got like 3 seasons in, and then NHL 20 came out. So I started grinding NHL 20 in the basement. And then like I was like, I gotta get my ultimate team right. And like my mom's like, come up and watch. I was like, I'll just catch up. And then eventually they took off for me. So like I'm still stuck on like season 3. It is a really good show, I'll give you that. Like, but it's also like something you gotta like watch with a friend, I guess. I don't know. But just to like so you can like talk about it and stuff. But I started trying to catch back up to my family, but they were like a whole season ahead of me. So I was just like, my ultimate team's really good though. So that's good.
Funny. That's what happened to me. My parents were watching a bunch. So the couple of new TV shows on Netflix came out. It was like Queen's Gambit, and there was another HBO.
That's really good.
Yeah, and then like The Undoing came out on HBO. So all my family was watching that. And the new Call of Duty dropped last month, and I was like, I'll see you guys later. So I missed every single TV night with the family because I was trying to unlock first prestige for the new Call of Duty. So we're in the same boat with that. All right, Jack, let's start off with a couple of basic questions. Where are you from originally?
Milford, Ohio. I grew up here, lived here my whole life.
You a big Browns fan? Cleveland sports fan?
No.
Cleveland sports
fan? No, we're down south. I'm Cincinnati, Bengals.
Cincinnati.
Yep. Bengals, right next to Cincinnati. No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I'm not like a huge, like, I'm starting to become more of a Bengals fan. I think partially it's because I just like Joe Burrow a lot. But I mean, that's kind of a bandwagon, but it's also the Bengals, so I can do it. It's not a freaking bandwagon, But like, I was always a huge Ohio State fan growing up. So I was a big Ohio State football fan. My grandfather was a dean at Ohio State. So we had season tickets when I was like 5 until he passed away when I was in high school. So I've ripped Ohio State games all the time growing up, and it was always a blast. I got to go to like 2 or 3 games in the shoe, and he had pretty solid tickets. So I was always a huge Ohio State football fan, still am, always will be.
Who are some of your favorite athletes, either from Ohio State or professional growing up?
I always loved, Troy Smith was when I was really young, was a quarterback at Ohio State. And then I liked Braxton Miller a lot, obviously. Those were like 2 of the guys that I always like, or at least those are the guys I kind of like. I don't know. I don't know. When I was real young, like me and my brothers were young, like yell Troy Smith, throw football around the backyard, stuff like that. But that was when we were younger, obviously. And then when Braxton Miller came around, I remember when he hit that spin move, and everyone was always practicing their spin moves for like a whole 6 months just because Braxton Miller cooked like 3 guys with one spin move. So I would say those are probably my top couple. Once I've gotten older, once I got into college, like I still am a huge Ohio State football fan, but I also just don't. I mean, they're like the same age as me, so like it's not as much as me like idolizing like them, but at the same time, like I'm still rooting for them, right? And there's obviously there's still really good football players.
Sure. I was surprised you didn't say Ocho Cinco since you were a Bengals fan.
That's true too. Yeah, Bengals wise, Ocho Cinco was probably the one guy that made me a Bengals fan when I was younger. With him, putting footballs after a touchdown with the end zone pylon. That was always a good one. His sallies were amazing.
What was was it him or Terrell Owens who like took the phone? He put their phone like at the end of the football goalpost, and when he scored a touchdown, he'd like call people. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I remember that. I forget it. I think it was Terrell Owens that did that. I do remember when Chad Johnson, he was big on keeping Sharpies in his sock. And then he would like, he'd sign the ball, throw it in the stands, or he also like had a dollar on him, and he always try to like bribe the refs like a single dollar in like his like pocket or something. That guy is nuts. He's a great Twitter follow.
I know. I follow him on Twitter too. It's one of my few Twitter follows for football. Him and Eli Manning, because I'm a big Giants. Eli Manning's hilarious on Twitter too. He's always posting like these sandwiches he's getting from these delis, and he's always shouting them out. He's always rating them. So that's a good guy to see on Twitter too.
I might have to hop on the Eli Manning bandwagon then.
Eli's the GOAT, baby. People keep on sleeping on. I think he's going to the Hall of Fame. I mean, I don't think you could deny it.
I think there's a pretty good chance he goes to the Hall of Fame.
100%.
For sure.
All right. So when did you first start getting into lacrosse?
When I was really young, So I was probably 5, maybe 6. I got into lacrosse because my cousin, who is a lot older than I am, he's like 30, mid to lower 30s. I actually don't know exactly how old he is, but he played at Denver when, like, back in the day, right when they started becoming a D1 team and everything. So I always would go to his games when they played at Ohio State and things like that. So, whenever he came by the house for Thanksgivings and things like that, we'd always throw in the backyard. So that's how I really got into lacrosse. And then from there, just played from, I think on my first actual team I played on was like 4th grade. I just played from there on, and I just loved it.
Did you play for any club teams when you were growing up?
Yeah, I played for the Cincinnati Royals here in Cincinnati, which is now not, I don't think they're a program anymore. They like molded with a different team and kind of combined. But that was like the only club. Oh yeah, and I also played for Stick Star out of Texas when I was a senior in high school, but I didn't play for them for too many years. I played for them for a couple tournaments, but that's actually how I originally got recruited to Denver. So
yeah, who did you have any lacrosse players when you were growing up that you liked to play? That you like to watch?
Yeah, first off, Mark Matthews. I loved Mark Matthews. He had me trying to do toe drags and every game I ever played when I was in high school and things like that, right? I love Mark Matthews, obviously the pals and things like that. I don't know. I watched a lot of people. I'd say Lyle Thompson was a huge one for me too, just the Thompson brothers as a whole. They made me really enjoy the game with how creative the sport of lacrosse can be, right? Things like that. I remember when I was in 7th grade. It was 7th or 8th grade, and the Thompson brothers came to Cincinnati to do a camp. And it was like 200 kids there or something like that. And then at the end of the camp, Lyle Thompson gave away his stick that he set the NCAA point record with. So, like, sweet stick, right? Like, today I would still freaking fangirl over having that stick. But, like, he's like, we're doing a competition to give the stick away. We got, so pretty much the competition that Lyle came up with is just start at the top of the box. Everyone throws the ball in the goal. If you miss, you're out, and you just keep backing up 10 yards. Last guy surviving wins. And we're playing on like a crap grass field. So, like, it's getting sketchy when you get deep, right? Because you're getting bounces left and right off the crappy grass. And, like, I was in the last 2 when I was in, like, 7th grade. And I was a real little guy when I was in 7th grade. So I'm hucking the ball as hard as I can. I throw one dead center. Last 2 guys, I feel great about it. Bounces, takes a hard left. I miss the cage. And then the next kid's up. He like sails one like way to the right. And I'm like, I'm good. He gets an amazing bounce, dribbles into the goal. He wins the stick. It was brutal. Still one of the worst memories of my life. I know the guy that has it, and I found the stick and stuff. But, yeah. So I think Lyle Thompson, Mark Matthews, guys like that were always some of my favorite.
Are you a lefty or are you a righty?
I'm a righty. Yeah.
I was gonna say, because when you first said Mark Matthews, I saw like some highlights of you. I thought you were a righty, and then you said Mark Matthews, so I got a little confused by that. But I mean, I say Matt Rambo's my favorite lacrosse player. He's a lefty, so I don't think that makes too much big of a difference. So, where did you play in high school?
Milford High School, baby.
And now where do you play currently?
University of Denver.
Go Pios. So to incorporate the name of the podcast in the show, Low to High, here are 2 questions I'd like to ask you. So it's a 2-part question. So the first one is, what is one of your lows while playing lacrosse? It could be a missed pass, you lost a tough game, maybe an embarrassing moment on the field. What do you think that would be for you?
I would say my first time being able to play in a Division I game as my freshman year at Denver, and I didn't get really any minutes my freshman year at Denver. And we were playing Cleveland State, and I got in the last, we were up by a couple goals, and I got in like real late, like maybe a minute 20, maybe a minute 30 left. And I came onto the field, right, and I was, running the offense or whatever, and I got what I felt like was a good look. And I didn't realize I was on the field because I was so nervous. And, there's a bunch of people there. I was, I was shaking. And I pulled one from like 18, and it was an absolute muffin. Just like right into the goalie's stick, up and out. I went down on transition. I think they ended up maybe even scored, I think. But it was a muffin. And I remember going off the field, Coach T, just yelling at me. And he's like, I give you one chance. He's like, and you blow it. And I was like, it happens, it happens to everyone. But that was probably that was a tough moment, but it helped.
They didn't send you back on. They didn't send you to go play defense after that.
I mean, I think I had to. I think I played the transition and then came off with the D mid, but yeah, I definitely. It was. I think I had to get down to the other side of the midline just to make sure they didn't get a transition goal. I think they might have scored. I remember the shot because the goal was just boom. It was so easy, right in his stick.
Could you have stepped down a little bit more, or do you think you should have just passed it off?
Oh, I should have moved it 100%. Yeah, there's a guy right in front of me. Like I kind of shot off the screen, kind of whatever. I mean, it was damn near a pass. It was bad, but what happens?
What are you gonna do? You gotta live and learn. So now going from your lows, what have been some of your highs while playing lacrosse? Could be a big win, crazy goal you had, maybe a 6 alley.
I think some of my highs were one of them I think was even from my freshman year when I wasn't playing is when we had an OT winner against Towson. Colin Rutans, who graduated from Denver, but he scored a sweet OT game winner. I remember storming the field, right, and that was a sweet moment. That was an absolute blast of a game, even though I wasn't on the field at all. But that was such a cool moment to be a part of. And then I would say, other highs is just when I started to be able to play, getting to be on the field versus Duke and things like that, and getting to score goals against these teams I watched growing up. That always feels good. It's getting a little bit more neutral now. I don't feel as, all excited about it because it just feels normal now. But, definitely the first couple times you get to step on the field against some big time teams and get to compete, ranked games and things like that. Like that's always awesome to do and it feels amazing.
So does it ever occur to you, when you first got to Denver, when you suited up for a game and you're playing either Big East opponent or you're going out of conference, maybe a Notre Dame or a Duke game, that you're like, wow, I'm going to be playing against one of these teams that I watched on TV as a kid?
Yeah. I mean, it absolutely crosses your head, but, that always kind of crosses through me until your first dodge or whatever, until the game starts, and then you always get butterflies. It doesn't matter who you are. I think everyone should get a little bit of butterflies if you're excited enough to go play. So, you feel good before the game. You might think about things like that. At least I used to. I don't really do that anymore. I mean, not much this past year, my sophomore year when I started playing good minutes, I definitely, thought about that stuff before the game. But once you get into the game, you look down, I got Denver on my chest. I watch Denver play too. You make, feel proud about having that across my chest when I'm playing. So, that all kind of evens things out. Once you're in the game, you're locked in.
Yeah. Game time. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're 100% right. Even though you're playing against Duke, you're playing for the University of Denver, you're still top 10 team in the country. So you gotta hand each other both almost mutual respect in a way.
Top five.
Yeah, top five. My bad. So here's a little bit of a zinger question. So you get off a huge win, you beat the number one team. It's a hypothetical, but it also probably could happen. Come off a huge win, OT winner, beat the number one team in the country. What's the first song that comes in the locker room for the post-game locker room hype in the Denver locker room?
That's a tough question. It depends. So we didn't have any locker room time in the fall. So I don't have a current answer, right? Because we couldn't go in the locker room this fall. I don't know who's on Ox because our Ox man's not here anymore. Our Ox guy graduated. So this year, Alec Barnes was Ox guy for a while. Skylar Blair, Nate Williams. Sometimes it mixes up, but we have some guys that are definitely prominent guys. Their lockers are a little bit closer to our Ox court in the locker room. So I would say first off, it depends on who's in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I could see Time Ring Bullseye, which is, I don't know if you know what that is.
I know that song.
Yeah, good stuff. I could see that coming on. I mean, it would probably be something ridiculous, to be honest. We'd probably turn some ridiculous song with the giant beat drop or something that's kind of funny, makes everyone laugh, but everyone gets excited about it, Do
you know the song Heads Will Roll?
Yeah. I can see something like that turn on for sure. Here, let me see the playlist. Let me check my phone. I bet we have some that would come to mind. I could see some
2019.
I would bet it would be something around the house genre. Because that, everyone likes that,
Yeah, you got to get a huge beat drop, and it can't be
you ever heard of Rainbow Styling?
Yes, I love that song. That song's crazy.
Rainbow Styling, and Colin Squires likes that song a lot. I could see Rainbow Style or something along those lines coming on. I don't know. It would be. I don't think we would have exactly like one song, but it would be an intense one for sure. Probably would be my guess.
Yeah, because you got to get because it's all about the build up to the mosh pit.
Yeah, I could see us doing Nickelback too. We're pretty big on Nickelback. I'm not lying. We love Nickelback.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a zinger question, and that's a zinger answer. So I like that.
Yeah, that's the final answer. Lock me in, Nickelback.
Okay. Nickelback at the post-game locker room hype for the University of Denver. Wouldn't have expected it, but it's a good. I like that. So, going into your high school days. So, what was your recruiting landscape like, and why did you end up choosing Denver?
Well, I was very under recruited. I mean, I guess you could say that, but I also was just a really late grower. So I was still getting recruited at the time and place when a lot of guys were committing as like freshmen in high school. But when I was like a freshman in high school, I was like 5'1", like 120 pounds. I was like a real late grower. So I didn't really hit my growth spurt until about halfway through my sophomore year of high school plus. So I was about, I don't know. I went like freshman year, I was like 5'2", not very athletic, but I had good stick skills and things like that. My freshman year, I grew a couple of inches. But then I shot up to about 6 feet my junior year, but I was real skinny. But my junior year is definitely when I got good. I had some attitude changes and things like that with my coach and things like that. You're a high schooler, everyone's stupid. So I was a little full of myself, things like that. But so I have to say my junior year, I kicked things on, and that summer I got some attention and I was, really able to kind of draw some eyes. And I was getting recruited by a lot of like, kind of like, not like low tier, but like smaller D1 schools, right? Not the power like schools, like, your Dukes and things like that. But Denver was like my really only like top like ranked school that really approached me to come there. So that was part of my reason I just chose Denver. And also part of the reason I chose Denver is because I wanted to go somewhere where I knew I could win games. And whether I was stepping on the field or not, I was like, I know, I'm going to work hard enough to where if I don't step on the field for 2 years, I'll step on the field in 3 years, So I'll work my tail off to play, but I want to go to a school with a phenomenal winning culture. And, Denver was just coming off a national championship. Like that, those are huge parts of it. I want to go play for what I believe is the best coaching staff in the country. Yeah. Between Coach T, Coach Brown, those two guys, and obviously all of our other coaches as well, with Coach Gallant and then Coach Adamson, and Coach Orson was there when I was a freshman as well. He was our D coordinator. But I just knew the coaching, the program, and the culture. And then obviously my cousin played at Denver too, so I've always been a Denver fan growing up as well. So all those were kind of factors that kind of played into it.
Did you ever think about, trying to stay at home in Ohio, maybe go play at OSU, if you had the option to go play at OSU or Cleveland State?
I definitely considered it, and neither of those schools really offered me. So I approached Cleveland State and I approached Ohio State. I went to their prospect camps and things like that. At the time, I would have loved to go play Ohio State. I was a Ohio State football fan growing up all the time, things like that. I definitely really wanted, that was part of my recruiting plan, is I wanted, go play in Ohio. Like, that'd be awesome. And, neither of the schools, neither of them wanted to recruit me. So that's fine with me. I ended up in Denver and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, for sure. So, when you arrived at the scene at Denver, you're a freshman. You had a heavy senior class, heavy junior class that was already at University of Denver. You didn't really get a lot of playing time. Was that maybe because of just a lot of upperclassmen above you, or maybe it was like because of your physical or mental abilities?
I think it was a little bit of both. So I did come from not exactly obviously a hot spot of lacrosse. So when I got to Denver, I was absolutely shell-shocked by the speed of the game, right? I remember my first captain's practice and being like, this is the fastest lacrosse I've ever seen in my life. I was like, I can, barely keep up with what's going on. Now, like, we had our captain's practice at the end of this last season when COVID hit and we had to all go home, but we had one more practice. Like, when that happened, I was like, this is so slow. It feels like molasses now when we're in captain's practices. But I remember when I got here when I got to Denver as a freshman, I was absolutely shell-shocked. The game was moving at 1,000,000 miles per hour in my head, which is a huge problem. You got to be able to see what's going on and relax and slow things down, which comes with time and age and maturity and just, playing at a fast pace for a long time. So that was kind of something that I think held me back a little bit. And then also my freshman year, I had some problems with my back. So I was in a back brace for about 8 weeks. Halfway through the fall, I had to call it, and I recovered towards the end of the winter. Right, so that was tough as a freshman. Try to earn your spot. Takes a while to earn your spot as a freshman, right? You really got to prove yourself. So that being an account, me being in a back brace, and I came slow out of that back brace in my mind. I was just a scout team guy pretty much for the rest of the year, and that's just how it worked out. I mean, I really wasn't playing back at the 100% until we were probably 3 games in, which, unless someone is screwing up in the first couple lines pretty bad, right, you're probably not going to get that opportunity. You just got to keep working and getting better. So, I did my best on scout team to help the team I could, the best way I could, trying to simulate what other guys were doing. And I think that really honestly helped me huge amounts in the long term, right? Going against the top D guys in our team every single day, honestly just getting the crap beat out of me by guys like, Dylan Gaines, Dylan Johnson, who are both phenomenal pulls. So playing against those guys for a whole freshman year, getting the crap beat out of me and just doing the best I could, even though I wasn't on the field, right? Which sucked. It still hit me every day. I was like, I want to play, but it's just the way it worked out. But I think those are all kind of factors that played into it.
Did you have any mentors or anyone you looked up to or guys that helped you that were upperclassmen when you were a freshman?
I mean, absolutely. There's like a million guys you could name, right? I think my freshman year, obviously Trevor Baptiste is there, right? That guy's a winner, easy guy to look up to, obviously. That's the easy answer that a lot of people would expect. Obviously, I have an unbelievable amount of respect for Trev and everything he's done, and I will continue to look up to that guy. And if I'm able to go play at the next level, like he's a guy I'll talk to for sure on advice and things like that. And, he's one of those guys that'll do that. And also, there's a lot of guys that not many people know about that, who might have not been playing a ton. Guys like, his name's Grant Gravitt. He was a senior when I was a freshman, and that's like, he was on my tail, and he was one of the hardest working guys I've ever seen in my life. He didn't really play that much. He wasn't like the greatest he wasn't like the greatest athlete, wasn't the most unbelievable lacrosse player, but I've never seen someone work so hard and be such a good teammate. And he left a massive impact on me as a freshman. So he was probably one of the guys that, he the things he did for the team, I don't even think he recognizes how much he's done for his team. I think at least for the guys that were around him, I think he sticks with everyone. Or at least I think he should be, and he's a guy that when I'm trying to be a good teammate, right? Maybe whatever it is, I'm trying to be a good sideline guy, whatever the situation is, I kind of always kind of think back of what would Grant Gravitt do, because he was the best teammate I've ever been around. So he was a guy that I definitely 110% looked up to.
So going to your sophomore year, after playing only 1 or 2 games your freshman year, to being on the starting midfield line your sophomore year and playing every single game, what changed in your off-season routine to help you become the player you were your sophomore year?
Well, first off, I went from about 185 pounds to about 200 plus. So I put on a lot of weight, but also I was still growing too. I'm still a late grower. I mean, I think I grew an inch like last year too. Like I can't even grow facial hair, man. Your stash like this right here, I've been growing this for like a month.
This has been a month and a half. I gotta shave this thing.
Yeah, you got me good, dude. Yeah, I can't. I'm a baby face. I have been my whole life. So I hit a big weight gain. That was part of me just eating a ton and working out a ton, things like that. And then also I just came back with a bunch of confidence. I was like, screw it. What's the worst case scenario? I sit on the bench again for a year, or I just, try to be the best player I can and just be as creative as I can, be as aggressive as I can, and just learn from my mistakes. And that's what happened. I made so many mistakes as a freshman in practice and in scout team and things like that, that I just slowly was able to, learn from every single mistake I made. And I've made a million mistakes. I've made maybe more mistakes and I have good plays. So, all that kind of just piled on. And, obviously I wanted to play. So I was just putting as much work I could in the off season. I don't really think I changed too much about it, but, I think if anything, it was probably the weight gain and athleticism I built up as well.
How'd you put up all that? How'd you put up 20 pounds in like 8 months?
Eating. I like eating. Yeah, I love food, man. I was crushing like probably, I don't know, maybe 5,000-6,000 calories a day, working out pretty much every day. And then I would, get shots up every single day if I could. It was probably one of my hardest off seasons I've had. Definitely was sore all the time, right? Didn't make that much money, didn't really work that much. I just kind of grinded as much as I could. And I'm glad I did. Paid off. Right, try to do the same thing every summer.
Yeah, for sure. So this is kind of going to be an all-around question, but who have been some of the toughest like opponents and players that you've played against in your college career so far?
It's a hard question. I would say, I don't know if I want to name direct opponents because I don't really know all the guys' names, to be honest.
You could just name like teams if you want.
Teams, I would say tough teams to play against would be, I mean, this past season, I always go off this past season because this past season, things got a lot bit more difficult because I was more of a main focus for defenses than I was as a sophomore, right? Because we still had like Colton Jackson around who was, and Teddy Sullivan as well, who'd been playing more than I had. So a lot of teams were focusing on them more. So I was still getting the shorty and things like that my sophomore year. But this past year, I would say the toughest games were probably North Carolina, and then probably Notre Dame. I don't want to give that to Notre Dame, but I'll give it to them too. But they came out and they were sliding hard, right? I got hit a bunch that game, so and I had one goal where I got flipped up on my head, and that was a tough one, and that was killing me for the whole game. But I'd say Notre Dame was tough because I was just banged up. They were staying tight, sliding hard, really kind of beating the hell out of me. But I got through it. But that was a tough game. And then I would say the North Carolina game was really hard as well. Early in that game, I hurt my hand, got flipped up in a slide, got hit hard. It kind of depends. Everyone plays a little bit differently. You're feeling a little bit different every day. So every game feels difficult. Everyone's going to throw something different at you. But once you figure it out, right, you get in your groove.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the past year. I'd say those two really gave me the most fits. I felt like would be North Carolina and Notre Dame.
Who are some teams that you've like almost enjoyed playing each time you've played them?
I love playing. Well, it's a love-hate relationship, but I love and hate playing Cleveland State. The reason for that is Cleveland State, obviously new program, still getting better every year. I know a lot of guys on the team, and I have a ton of respect for all those guys on that team because Cleveland State, they're not the biggest team. They're not the most. They don't get all the highest recruits in the country, but those guys do go balls to the wall. They go really hard and they make it tough on you, especially, most of the time we go again, play against them. It is what it is. We're expected to win the game, right? It's a hard game to go into when you're expected to win the game, right? And it's a team like that you need that's going to come out and they're going to go full 4 quarters, absolutely as hard as they can. And you got to match that intensity. Otherwise, they're going to hang with you. So, that's a really good team to play. I have a lot of friends on that team that ton of respect for, and I think Cleveland State's an awesome team to play against. I think they're going to be really good in a couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. So I've always wanted to ask this question to a midfielder because I never really get the chance to. But so you always hear about how like being a defender or being a goalie is always like a lot of the mental game. There's a lot of mental game more than physical game involved in it. Same with like say X attack. But what about being like a midfielder who's supposed to initiate the offense, especially midfielders have a really tough time because they're always getting the fastest slides brought to them. They don't really have a lot of time to react. How much do you think playing the midfield position that you do is as much a mental game as it is a physical game?
Yeah, well, I would say almost, I say this past year, the quicker teams have started to slide to me. It's become much more of a mental game for me. I've started to watch way more film. Right, I work on a lot more things rather than just dodging. Right, I got to learn how to control the slides better, things like that, and like not get myself stuck in double teams and understand where the defense is at and things like that. So I think a lot of the mental game for me, at least, it comes before the game. Right, kind of seeing what they're doing, seeing what I think they're going to do, see what they might try to do, who they might guard me with, things like that. So that's all preparation that I would take in advance. That to me is like a mental game. And I think honestly, it's mental for everywhere you go, right? And I think the easiest part is just if you have confidence, right, then you just know that preparation, right, that preparation helps you have confidence. So if I prepare for a game well, I'm going into that game with a clear mind, understanding what's going on, understanding what they might try to throw at you, what kind of options do they have that they've been throwing at guys that might play similar to me or things like that, right? And then often, sometimes I'll go into a game with preparation what I think is going to happen, or what my coaches might think we're going to happen, and they might do something completely different, right? They might just throw something at you that you didn't see coming, so you got to be able to adjust on the fly and things like that. But yeah, that's how I would say go. I don't really think that, there's a huge difference between, midfield and attack to an extent. Like obviously your dodges and everything are different. But to me, we're all 6 offensive players right on the field at a time, right? Everyone's on the same page. Everyone has to be able to do a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm comfortable for dodging from X. I think a lot of guys, midfielders and things like that, should be comfortable dodging from X. So, I don't really think of myself as like a downhill midfield dodger. Like, a traditional guy. Like I try to be able to do everything I can on the offensive end and then also still be effective on the defensive end. So, that used to be a lot more of a mental thing for me as a sophomore. Getting stuck on defense is, is tough because I didn't get really many defensive reps in practice. But now, I gain confidence, things you get more comfortable and you learn more and you understand the game better. So all that mental stuff, it takes place, but it's natural,
For sure. So I'm going to skip ahead to your junior year. You were named first team All-American. You had 27 points in 6 games. What do you think contributed to that, to you having like one of these a great season so far before it got cut short?
I would say honestly, just our team as a whole, like my teammates and things, right? They trusted me to take shots. I had games where I was letting them fly early in the game and nothing was going, and my teammates continued to trust me. They continued to feed me and things like that. And, I think, I had a lot of assists and I really didn't, honestly, a lot of those assists came from one pass, one goal right away, quick, easy shots, so things like that. I mean, just trusting your teammates. And, I had played a bigger role in the offense this past year. But, that's just from gained experience, me working hard and things like that. Trust from the coaches, trust from your team, and just me just trying to go do my thing. So I don't know. Yeah, that's a tough question,
Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, you're fine.
After COVID shut down the season in 2020, what were some of your initial thoughts about that with your teammates?
Well, initially, I thought that I was absolutely shook because I was like, that's the last game I'm going to play with that group of seniors, some of my best friends. So that was everyone's initial thought, I think. I was like, okay, my season's shut down. I don't need to worry about myself. I got another year. This is before we found out we get another year eligibility if we need to take it. But like just seeing the look on my seniors' face when they were like, it's over, and it happened so quick, Before the season got shut down, we were like, it was like a week before, and we were like, oh my God, there's like 1 case of COVID in the United States. And they're like, dude, do you think our seasons get shut down? And we were all kind of like joking around about it. Like, no, probably not, man. Like, are you kidding me? And just within a week and a half, it was done. It's happened so fast. It was crazy. It was like, it didn't really hit me until I got home that my season was over,
Yeah.
But my initial thoughts were I felt awful for our seniors because I thought their careers were over in that manner,
Was it weird not playing lacrosse from March through May for like the first time in 15 years?
Yeah, I haven't taken that much time off in a while. I mean, I kept the stick in my hands, obviously, and I would still go shoot. I was still working out and things like that, but it was definitely a weird feeling to have that much time off. And if you think about it, we're never normally away from in your 4 years of college, you're really never away from your trainers and the strength staff for that long, right? So I think the hardest part of being off for that long is staying in shape to be able to play at a high level, right? I mean, it's easy to work out and things like that, but there's an environment you can't simulate really, especially during COVID times, right? Because you can't really go to gyms with large groups of people and simulate like a team activity. Yeah. So I think just staying in shape and continue to improve and get better while, you're maybe not having access to a field. We might not have access to a weight room and things like that. I mean, I was lifting in my garage for like 5 months. So things like that, I think that was the hardest part. And I think, coming back this fall, it was definitely evident early that even though guys were, it's not like anyone wasn't trying. It's just hard to stay in shape that you would be able to stay in when you have people that are paid to keep you in shape, strength and conditioning staff, Tim Murray at Denver.
That bounces me off to my next question. Like, how did you stay in shape during the entire quarantine period?
I was just working out in my garage, man, trying to do footwork stuff in my backyard. There was a field I could get on occasionally. I'd like jump a fence with a bucket of balls and go get shots on at my old high school. But that was all it was. I was go run as much as I could. You could still go run, obviously. I got unfortunate to have some weights in my garage. We had we built a bench and stuff. So we kind of made a sketchy gym that we kind of threw together, had a pull-up bar and things like that. I did as much as I could. So, I mean, that was, I would, yeah, I mean, we just did everything you could, just try between getting shots in, getting lifts in and running and things like that.
Were you ever frustrated at times that like you
Oh,
would
yeah.
have been with your teammates, your lift, like what am I doing lifting in my garage with like 10-pound dumbbells and stuff like that?
Yeah. It was definitely frustrating, right? But, I think my initial thought when I got frustrated would just be like, there's a lot of people right now that are having way worse situation than I am, right? I'm not going to sit here and complain about me not getting to play lacrosse in front of thousands of people and have the time of my life doing the game I love when, there's people right now in this country that are struggling, people on ICU beds and things like that are, family members or dropping like flies for some people. So, as much as I want to complain about not being able to play lacrosse, not be able to have fans in the stands or whatever it may be, or not be able to practice without a mask on and things like that. There's a lot worse stuff going on. So I have no complaints. I'm going to college, I'm getting an education, I'm, playing lacrosse where I love to play lacrosse and at the highest level, so as much as it sucks, there's not much to complain about.
For sure. So skipping forward a couple of months, let's say like June, July of 2020, you get 2 new additions that are coming to Denver. You have Yale's Jackson Morrill and Lucas Kotler. How was playing fall ball with those guys that were big contributors to Yale's 2018 national championship?
It was awesome. I love, I've got to know them pretty well now. I was able to play with them. I didn't get to play with them the first like 6 weeks of fall ball because the way we were set up, we were in like 10-man groups, just to, do our best to contain COVID and not have any outbreaks and things like that. So we were doing a lot of small group work, and that was the groups we were allowed to hang out in, right? So if we had a positive case in one group, then that group would quarantine and the rest of the team could still be practicing on their own in small groups, right? So that was kind of our system. So originally they weren't in my small group, so I didn't really get to meet them that much. I like seen them around and things like that, said hello to them. Well, I got to meet them the last 3 weeks or so when we had 25-man groups for a while. Got to play with them, and they're phenomenal players, right? They're smart guys. Obviously, they're winners in my book. Obviously, they're winners. They know how to win a national championship. I've never won a national championship, so I'm trying to soak up as much as I can from them. And they pick their brains. Jackson's an unbelievable passer. That guy can find me wherever I'm at in the field. It's kind of awesome. And I think he makes Ethan's job easier too. I think having Morrill back there makes everyone's life a little bit easier. And that's awesome, right? Because now I get more freedom. Now Ethan gets more freedom. Kotler's a great player. I think we're going to be. I mean, we're stacked, right? We got a lot of guys that are going to be really good this next year.
So with them coming, does it almost help? Do you think it'll help ease like some of the pressure that you might have been probably getting if they didn't come? Since like you're gonna have this big target on your back as being first team All-American, best finishers in the country. Now that these 2 guys come in, they're gonna almost help bring pressure from other side of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got threats all over the field, and we have got guys that no one knows about yet or no one's heard about yet that are all extremely skilled lacrosse players that may not be veterans yet or have not had that much time on the field, right? But we got those guys coming up. So we have threats all over the field, as well as, now people that, guys that people know about between like me, Ethan, Teddy, and Morrill and Kotler and guys like that. Just the more threats you have on the field that people are worried about, the more it opens up for other people. And honestly, at this point, like there's so many threats in the field, we just got to play good offense and we'll get good opportunities. I mean, there's a crazy amount of skill on the field at all times.
Definitely. So for my last question, for this episode, what are you looking most forward to in your 2021 season?
Just getting to play lacrosse, man. Honestly, I just want to be able to play. I don't care if we get to play in front of fans. I just want to be in a game environment. I want to compete. I love competition. I'm a very competitive person. So being able to get out in that field and go at it with people at 120% is going to be awesome. And I'm looking forward to it every day.
I think everyone else that plays lacrosse or any other sport probably say the exact same thing. It's been way too long, man. It's been tough for a lot of people, but it's coming soon. So
absolutely.
Thanks so much, Jack, for coming on the Low to High podcast. Really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to talk with us and tell us your story. I wish you happy holidays for the rest of 2020, and looking forward to watch you play in Peter Barton Stadium in 2021.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Love what you guys are doing here. Love what you're doing here with the podcast. I'll help you out in the future if we can get some other guys on. I think this is awesome.
Awesome. I appreciate it, man. Have a good day.
You too.